What are some strategies for reducing and paying off credit card debt, particularly with rising interest rates right now? That's an issue for people.
Oh, yeah, right. And I will say that, and I'm going to keep going back to the savings piece, but if you are worried about loss of income, I think it's more important right now to save than to work at paying off your debt. And if you don't have much of a savings or you're behind the game and you're playing catch up, I think it's even more important, because then we can get into the cycle of just using those credit cards to pay for emergencies or our essentials in times like this. But there are three main debt repayment strategies, and I'm going to talk about the one that worked best for me first, is the debt snowball. And the debt snowball method has you focus on paying extra towards that debt with the lowest balance. So for me, I think I had a line of credit and a Visa. And my line of credit, I think I owed $500. And my Visa felt a little overwhelming to work at paying off. So for someone like me, focusing on the one with the lowest balance first, and I see that going down. And then once I pay that off, I can take what I was paying towards that piece of debt and move it to the next lowest balance.
What about the second strategy?
The second one is the debt avalanche.
Oh,
and
that sounds great.
I know, right?
If you're getting rid of debt.
Yeah, right. Now, a lot of people like the debt avalanche because you're focusing on the credit card with the highest interest rate first, which makes more sense if it's on paper, right? But we forget about the behaviors that come into play. So I talk to some people and they're like, I would never focus on the debt with the lowest balance first. It makes financial sense, right, to focus on that debt with the highest interest rate first. So I always say, what is going to motivate you the most, right? And then there's a third one I like to talk about. It's not super common. For the people who are like I did when I first started out, I was pretty deep in credit card debt. And I was like, everyone's telling me to pay extra. I can barely afford to pay my minimum payment. So that's what we call the debt cascade. The idea here is keep paying that minimum payment no matter what. Even if they lower the payment and say, okay, now you only owe us $50. Keep paying that minimum because then you're paying extra.
Interesting, Stacy. I would assume that you would come in a job like this and your finances would be perfect.
No.
It's inspiring to think that this is something that you're focusing on and that you've gone through these experiences yourself.
Yeah. And I like to say, that's what makes me an expert, because I experienced it myself, right? Yeah.